Timeless, weightless, boundless. Discovering the most fascinating landscapes on Earth by hot air balloon. 5 countries, 4 continents, 180 days. Up and away with Phil and Ali Dunnington, an Anglo-German couple whose goal is to discover the world by balloon. Breathtaking flights, dramatic landings, exotic cultures, unexpected encounters. Lighter than air, the balloon floats aloft, bringing us closer to man's oldest dream, the dream of flying. The Call of the Mountains. Phil and Ali Dunnington are first in line when ballooning tradition meets alpine nostalgia. The Tannheimer Valley in western Austria. It's January. For balloonists, the start of their winter season. Phil and Ali come to this valley high up in the Tyrol almost every year. In winter, calm, high-pressure weather conditions prevail. And with the landscape covered in snow, there are hardly any thermals. Ideal conditions for balloonists to practice their sport. On the ground, Thomas Kutzenberger keeps radio contact. As chase crew member, as they're known in balloonists' jargon, he's responsible for retrieving pilot, basket, and envelope after they land. Eye to eye with alpine peaks. The weather is brilliant. Bright sunshine, clear air, and unusually mild temperatures for this time of year. They fly north from the Tannheimer Valley over the Allgäu Alps into the Alpine foothills, crossing the border from Austria to Germany. Phil knows the area.
Yeah, there's a great view of Neuschwanstein there. Look, just coming into the sunshine behind the mountain. And Hohenschwangau, a bit closer to us than that. And the Forgensee all frozen ahead of us here. And it's just incredible today.
After an hour and a half in the air, the propane gas is running low. Phil starts the descent.
Tom, wir fangen jetzt in den nächsten 2 Minuten mit unserem Descent, mit unserem Abstieg an, kommen runter auf Ebene.
Wir gucken mal, wo es hingeht, vielleicht Richtung See.
Okay, ich bleib dran.
Okay, prima, danke. Ciao.
The search for a landing site begins. Tom just has to stay close to them so he doesn't lose sight of the balloon. But he's still got to find the right road to follow. For Phil, however, the wind dictates his direction. This meadow is where balloon and chase vehicle are going to reunite. Phil touches down skillfully between a fence and the edge of the forest, avoiding contact with cowpats.
Tom, where are you?
Kannst du kommen? Dann ziehen wir den Ballon auf die
But the area is a little too small to deflate the balloon. The team has to maneuver the balloon by hand out of the perimeter fencing. Phil keeps the 350-kilogram giant in the air with short bursts from the burner.
Brilliant, fantastic team. Excellent.
The next morning in Tannheim, there still isn't much to indicate that today is the start of the balloon festival. But before it begins, pilots and crews meet for a briefing. Rudolf Höfer organizes this balloon enthusiasts meet every year.
So, Briefing. Guten Morgen, good morning, bonjour, grüezi. Ich fange gleich mit dem Wetter an, damit ihr gleich wisst, wie die Situation ist. Ich habe gerade mit Herrn Tilger gesprochen von der Flugwetterwarte Stuttgart. Das Wetter ist heute so, dass wir eine Kaltfront von der Tschechei haben, aber die wird laufend schwächer. Aber die nächste Front nähert sich morgen. Also das schöne Wetter von gestern haben wir heute nicht mehr. Für morgen erwarten wir also eine Störung bei uns und im Alpenvorland.
Not very good prospects for the next few days, so all the teams want to launch today at least. It gets a little tight on the field with 25 balloons. Only when the first ones take off can the next ones start setting up. Before every launch, the most important thing is the safety check. Finally, Phil and Ali are ready too. The 20-meter high balloon rises to its full height. The festival is like a family gathering for these balloonists. They've all known each other for years. Phil's friend, Richard Gieseling, is piloting the neighboring balloon.
Richard, I'm going to climb a bit and see if I can get a bit more that way.
Together, the balloons float over the little hamlet of Tannheim with its 1,000 inhabitants.
valley?
Even without walkie-talkie contact, Phil and Ali want to get aloft while the weather is still holding and visibility is still good. Over the valley, Phil lets the balloon rotate around its own axis. "360-degree alpine panorama, live and in color." Richard stays close to the ground at first, ascending when Phil descends again.
We are descending, and it's the double effect of a real rapid climb now. Because we're coming down.
This time the wind doesn't carry them over the mountains. Phil has to find a landing site in the Tannheim Valley. Power lines pose a great danger to hot air balloons. Landing in the nursery wouldn't be ideal either. But if the wind stays the way it is, Phil will be able to park close to the guest house behind the stream. Perfect. Now they have to start dismantling the balloon quickly.
Yes, I'm just trying it. Yeah, pull now, pull now.
Phil opens the parachute, the lid of the balloon, to let the hot air escape from the top of the envelope.
That's good.
With the help of the crown line, which is connected to the top of the balloon, the envelope is then tipped in the right direction.
That's good. Yeah, you're clear, that's good.
When the balloon is lying flat, the air escapes slowly.
Right.
To speed it up a bit, Ali pushes the rest out.
Oh. That's what I'm in the high thing. So, that's it. Great. Thank you.
At the end, every muscle is called upon to fold up the bulky 150-kilogram envelope.
Stuffing in.
With a well-coordinated team, it takes less than half an hour to dismantle and stow balloon, basket, and equipment. They've all earned their supper today. Next day, the forecast weather change has arrived. The Zugspitze is already enveloped in cloud. This is where the German Weather Service is located. The Eibsee cable car traverses the 2,000-meter high difference from the valley station to the top of the mountain in only 10 minutes. At 2,963 meters, the summit is the highest point in Germany. Phil and Ali want to get some first-hand information. The Zugspitze weather station has been collecting meteorological data for over 100 years, around the clock. The station head is Manfred Christen.
Hallo, grüß Gott.
Herr Christen, Albert Dennington.
Grüß Gott.
Hallo,
Hallo,
Phil.
grüß Gott.
Mein Phil. Würden gerne mal euer aktuelles Wetter hören.
Ja, da schauen wir uns gleich mal die Situation an.
Danke.
Das war der Stand heute in der Früh um 3 Uhr. Wir sehen hier, in der Früh um 3 war die Front an der Donau gelegen. Und die ist mittlerweile angekommen am alten Nordrand. Und es wird zu Schneefällen führen. Das wird auch die nächsten Tage nur Schnee sein. Die Temperatur sinkt. Und zum Freitag hin soll es dann ein bisschen auflockern. Da kommt dann das Hochdruckgebiet von Westen rein, wird dann wetterwirksam. Man muss dann noch mit Schauern rechnen, aber doch mit sonnigen Abschnitten zwischendurch. Und die Windsituation, die bleibt Nordwestwind in der Höhe mit Böen.
Meanwhile, it is snowing in the valleys. It might make it more difficult for the deer to find food. But for winter sports enthusiasts, it's a blessing. Not for the balloonists, though. They have to decide what they're going to do.
So, as we can see, that was today, or is still today, as we can see out of the window. That was what the weatherman at the Zugspitze also told us. It's quite a strong northerly wind. And on this weather forecast it says we're back to winter, which is true. We've already experienced that. Well, today's finished anyway, so let's look at tomorrow. And if we want to fly around Neuschwanstein, that's actually the area up here. And there we can just see this tiny little gap in the cloud cover, so very little wind from the northwest. So that's the same as
might work for a hop then.
We could at least give it a try.
Yeah, it's very short though, by the looks of it.
It's very short, yes, so I'm not sure whether that's going to work.
Despite all the concerns, next morning the sun is shining around Neuschwanstein Castle. The wind direction seems to be good too. Minus 10 degrees. It is bitterly cold. Ali wants to launch before the bad weather front moves in. It's hardly worth setting up the big balloon for such a short flight. Today is an ideal time to use Ali's mini balloon. Richard Gieselink and his wife Helen helped them to set up. The so-called hopper has no basket. The pilot sits in the open, right next to the gas cylinder. He, or she, may not weigh more than 60 kilograms though, so that rules Phil out. From the parking lot, the balloon heads over Schwangau, towards Lake Forgen.
Right, all aboard.
Should we follow you?
Okay, good. Off we go.
Phil is driving the retrieval vehicle. As an Englishman, driving on the right takes some getting used to.
Ali, Phil, we're at the main road looking for guidance.
Yeah, well, there's no guidance at the moment because I'm still debating whether I want to dare to cross the lake or not, so stand by.
Constant radio contact is essential now.
Unfortunately, there's a farm, and there's power lines, and then there's the lake. Oh, I do a rapid descent already now.
Ali has 3 kilometers of half-frozen Lake Fog in front of her.
Phil, Ali, we have your visual. We're about 700 metres to the northeast.
I just try and land in the last spot before the lake, but I might not be able to because there's the horses and the farm and trees and power lines.
Understood. Well, we're moving down towards the lake. We haven't got your visual at the moment, but we'll advise.
Ali is probably going to have to risk the lake crossing.
Well, it doesn't look all that far. It's about the same distance now from where I'd taken off, and I've got at least 4.4 knots.
Yeah, that sounds good. Obviously, with the front coming in, things you can find a place that's good, I think.
Yeah, definitely, yes. Let's just keep fingers crossed this wind stays where it is and doesn't change to a southerly or something. I mean, I hope to coast in somewhere along that road with a fresh beehive.
Understood. We'll come. Okay, she wants us to go across the other side of the lake. Okay, so where we're going is, let's just have a look on the bonnet of the car.
The retrieval team tries to get its bearings.
So we are here. She's coasting out and she's going across here, 340. So what we need to do is to go back in towards Füssen and go up to the Festspielhaus, which is up here somewhere.
Ali is right in the middle of the frozen lake when the wind drops.
We're 293 now, but only 2 knots, but I think that's the best I get. So just keep fingers crossed I make it across without running out of gas. That's my main worry.
Understood. How far across are you now?
Well, I would say not even half.
Understood. We're on our way round. We're in Füssen now.
Ali is trapped above the lake.
We have your visual. You seem to be making reasonable speed now.
Okay, keep fingers crossed. I mean, the tank is not ticking yet, so I still should have at least 20 minutes duration.
Yeah, if you think you're going to have to ditch, let us know, and we'll probably have to call the Rettons people because you don't want to be in that water for more than a few seconds.
Yeah, it's fine for now. Just keep standby.
Understood. We'll be with you.
Ali goes down. With her last gas reserves, she's going to chance a risky maneuver on thin ice.
Understood. We're just going to walk down to the shore.
Ice is extremely thin. I can hear it cracking. Firm enough to push me in the right direction.
You're lucky you only weigh 55 kilos.
In their haste, the team ends up on the wrong section of the lakeshore.
More where the lift place is, isn't it?
Yeah. Richard, if you go back to where we were before, and that lift place, she's just coming in there. In fact, I'll come with you.
Ali inches cautiously across the ice. She reaches the safety of the shore even before her retrieval team gets there.
Good.
Oh my God!
Look at that wonderful track across the lake.
I've never seen that before.
No, I've never seen that before.
No, I think snow walking in a balloon on a frozen lake is probably really pretty unique. But I mean, I'm so glad I'm back on firm terra. one hand. Mama, gib mir richtig die Hand. Das sieht man schon wie. Guck mal hier. So dünn ist das Eis. Das ist echt 1 Zentimeter. Also da hätte es nicht drauf gehen können. Aber mit meinem Hexenbaby war das gerade noch die richtige Schicht, sodass ich mich drüber schieben konnte. Ha?
After this adventure, they both head off to the International Balloon Festival in Château d'Eau. Every year, this exclusive Swiss alpine resort becomes the rendezvous for aviation enthusiasts from around the world. A 100 balloons from 15 countries. The crème de la crème of the international ballooning fraternity happily rubbing shoulders in Château d'Eau. The very special charm of the alpine village and the excellent wind conditions in the valley of Château d'Eau make the festival enormously popular. Ali takes advantage of the calm weather to do some training. Although it's the wind alone that determines the course of the flight, it actually changes direction depending on the altitude. The pilots use this to steer the balloon through the skies.
Idealerweise haben wollen ist eigentlich 090, was uns direkt halt wieder hochfahren würde. Wir haben jetzt 114 Grad mit 5 Knoten, das heißt, wir fahren im Augenblick leicht zurück, ja, Richtung Südosten. Ne? Vor im Tal runter ging es Richtung Westen. Sind wir gut aufs Kreuz. Ja, wir haben noch 200 Meter.
Below them, the wind seems to be dropping.
Der andere steht komplett unten im Tal. Müssen wir einfach mal gucken, auf welcher Höhe wir dann die beste Richtung haben. Es ist immer schön, wenn man Ballon-Needs hat, wenn man noch andere wagemutige Ballonfahrer vor sich hat, die uns dann schön den Wind zeigen können.
But balloonists don't just have to catch the right winds. Staying aloft and managing controlled ascents and descents takes practice. You have to learn to allow for the balloon's delayed reaction to your input from the burner. To get a feel for it, crew member Oliver Redler is going to keep the balloon floating as close as possible to the ground. Letting the balloon descend slowly, not burning too much or too little. That's the art.
Es war ein super Landing, ne? Das Raussehen, also wäre eine perfekte Landung gewesen, spitze. Es war jetzt zwar nicht dieses Stoppen über dem Boden. Ja. Aber es war eine perfekte Landung. Sehr gut, okay.
For balloonists, Château d'Eau has a historical significance. In 1999, this was the starting point for the first non-stop balloon circumnavigation around the globe. Bertrand Piccard and Brian Jones were the first to succeed. There's a monument to these aviation pioneers in the village centre. And this is where Phil and Brian Jones meet, two distinguished aviators.
Amazing to think, really, isn't it, that it's nearly 12 years since all of this happened.
I know. And It's sad actually because this is just 12 years old and this used to be a nice little brass balloon. I see we've been demoted to a cheap screw. Somebody's stolen it.
Yes. so you've got that one up on me, yeah. A lot of water, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, is the kind of thing, because you always find people discussing whether now that that's been done, there isn't really anything else because you can't fly to the moon by balloon. So apart from, you know, Ali doing it solo on her own, the first woman round the world, there isn't really a lot else can be done, is there?
Does it matter? Really? I mean, the sport of ballooning is all about this is sort of flying like in the valley here this morning. It was gorgeous, wasn't it? Yeah. And people kind of say, well, you know, you've flown around the world. How do you feel about flying for half an hour in the valley here? And you say, well, just the same as I did before I went around the world. Yeah. I mean, that's what I love doing.
That's what they call it, isn't it? I always love that. Yes, just go. Of course.
Enthusiasm and passion are shared by festival participants in equal measure. Today, 2 parachutists are planning a risky jump out of a basket. Only experienced pilots will take parachutists on board. The sudden weight loss when they jump can cause the balloon to destabilize. And if the parachute doesn't open properly, it could be dangerous for the parachutists too. A few anxious moments, and then the aerial acrobats demonstrate their astonishing skill. Meanwhile, Ali is preparing for her own appearance. In the afternoon, they're joined by the next generation. After all, you can't start soon enough. There are balloons in all shapes and sizes. Between the comic book heroes and special shapes, Ali takes off in her hopper. A special shape can cost over €100,000, an expensive hobby for real balloon fanciers such as Nicolas Lefranc.
On est juste un amateur, on fait ça dans les loisirs depuis 20 ans et on a un travail à côté, on fait ça que les week-ends pour nous faire plaisir.
Each special shape is unique and generally demonstrates the individual preferences of its owner.
Pourquoi l'Obélix? Parce que je rêvais de faire un ballon à forme. Mais il fallait que ça soit un peu plus qu'un ballon à forme. Un ballon qui porte un message. Alors il fallait chercher quelque chose qui soit gauloise, qui soit quelque chose qui représente un peu la France, mais toujours dans l'humour bien entendu. Alors il fallait un personnage, et lorsqu'on a défini ces paramètres-là, un personnage, un ballon à forme, je crois que l'évidence c'était Obélix. Il n'y avait pas d'autres évidences.
At nearly 50 meters high, the Flying Scotsman is the largest bagpipe player in the world. But even though there's only hot air under its kilt, it has to stay anchored to the ground, as it's too old to fly. Everyone shows off their best points. The pilots try to use the light wind currents so that they stay in the valley as long as possible, close to the audience. But not everyone succeeds in finding the perfect wind direction. The Wild West cowboys seem to be irresistibly drawn to the mountains. The Gallic hero positions himself confidently right above the village. Whereas the bug seems to be heading for the trees. Quite appropriate, really. Helping hands rescue it from the branches and bring it back to the landing site. This special airship is another of the festival's major attractions. It's a thermal airship. Like the hot air balloons, its buoyancy is created by hot air. But it has an engine for propulsion and can fly against the wind. In contrast to balloons, such a thermal airship or hot air airship can be steered and therefore determines its own direction and landing place. After a couple of turns above the spectators, they all head back to the launch site. Next morning, the competitions start. There are target flights, distance competitions, and the pursuit race known as Hare and Hounds. The teams secure their launch sites even before the obligatory briefing.
Je vous souhaite la bienvenue. Good morning, everybody. Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. Je vous souhaite la bienvenue.
After the greeting, festival director Michel Reichenbach hands over to the weather experts.
Magnifique journée, comme d'habitude. Wonderful day again.
For today, the wind, there is no problem. It's not exceeding critical values. We will have a maximum of 5 knots, and also the freezing temperatures for today. Have nice flights, and see you tomorrow.
Coordination is important in the jostling throng. A safe takeoff in between all the other balloons is by no means easy. The control center keeps an eye on everything. Today the balloons are being directed by Céline Duracell.
And from Saturday information towards the balloon, the target at Limuna is open.
As the aviation safety expert, she manages everything, monitors radio transmissions, and registers which balloon is taking off and when. The so-called launch masters ensure that everything runs smoothly at the launch sites. They are an essential safety factor, as from their baskets the pilots can't see anything at all above them. The launch master has to indicate to them whether the airspace is free overhead. Communicating above the noise of droning fans and hissing burners is made simpler with whistles and hand signals.
Halten wir die Bemalung unten, dann drehen wir die Hände hoch. Das ist das Zeichen, jetzt musst du Equilibre sein, also im Gleichgewicht mit der Luft. Machen wir dieses Zeichen und im Moment, wenn wir die Arme strecken, kann er gehen. Wir können aber auch sagen, Stopp, sofort aufhören zu heizen und den Parachut ziehen, das Ventil aufmachen oben oder ganz abstellen, sofort abstellen mit dem Brenner.
One by one, the balloons get permission to take off. But not all of them are in the air yet, by any means. Several pilots have to open the parachute, the lid at the top of the envelope, and let the hot air out. Launchmaster Klaus Friedrich has given the order that they have to wait.
Im Moment haben wir sehr wenig Wind, eigentlich null Wind, mit dem Effekt, dass wir derzeit 3 verschiedene Höhen haben, in denen die Ballone fahren, sodass die Piloten sehr aufpassen müssen, wenn sie steigen oder fallen, dass sie nicht miteinander fahren. Aber da die Konditionen insgesamt sehr ruhig sind, kein Problem, solange die Piloten derzeit aufpassen. Nur wir sind unten auf dem Feld derzeit etwas blockiert, weil wir einfach zu viele Ballone über uns haben.
At last, Phil and Ali are allowed to take off. When finally a light wind picks up, Phil and Ali decide to take part in today's target flight competition.
Come really low again now. Look, wow, she's a...
The aim is to throw a marker as close as possible to the target cross marked on the ground.
Abstieg, ganz abstieg.
The direction looks fine.
Yeah, down there. Good. I'll try a throw. Keep it straight so I can see things. It was too early again, shit. Ah! Pretty close. Yo! Hey! Wow! Wow! I can't believe it! That was on the cross!
Well, we're going to be competition ballooning duck from now on then, eh?
I thought I missed it by 10 meters and then the thing just flew back right on the cross. That was the ground wind, which I tell you was quite fast, and it just banged it on the spot.
Of course, after Ali's terrific performance, she gets to take over the role of pilot.
Wind dreht sich 308 Grad, 5 Knoten. Also wir kriegen jetzt viel Rechtsdrall hier, was wir eigentlich wollen, weil wir in dieses Tal rein wollen. Da drüben ist nicht so gut.
Ali has to ascend to catch the right wind current.
314 Grad, mit 5 Knoten, super Richtung, um hier ins Gruyère-Tal reinzufahren. Und ich bin jetzt auf 6000 Fuß. Und das ist eine gute Richtung. Von daher schauen wir mal, dass wir hier bleiben.
Gourmets will know the Gruyère Valley for the eponymous Swiss cheese. Balloonists, however, appreciate it especially for its steady wind conditions. But today the wind seems to have decided not to blow down the valley. Ali decides to climb a little and possibly get out of the valley while heading in the direction she wants to go. Soon she's just over 9,000 feet. It takes a long time to descend to a landing site from such a high altitude. Phil and Ali have to fly with more than usual foresight in order not to miss the point at which to start the descent. Ali discusses matters with her ground crew.
Ja, wir machen jetzt gerade die Entscheidung, ob wir ganz hoch sollen und vielleicht sogar den Wind nochmal wieder zurückkriegen oder ob wir jetzt ganz schnell wieder runter müssen, um in dem Boyartal zu bleiben. Im Augenblick haben wir ein bisschen schlechte Richtung, die geht gegen Berge.
Ali decides to ascend. The moment of truth for vertigo sufferers. They're more than 10,400 feet above sea level.
Right, 077 at 2, so that's going back now. Going up to 10,000 feet.
But the wind is a capricious thing. It turns and slackens off right over the steep mountain peaks of all places.
Im Augenblick hängen wir ziemlich blöd über diesen Bergen. Wir haben nicht genug Wind. Und so langsam wird auch unser Gas knapp. Wir haben noch eine dicke Flasche und eine kleine Flasche. Reicht uns eine knappe Stunde oder...
The view is fantastic. But there's no landing site they can reach, just craggy rocks. At last, the wind picks up again and carries them away from the mountains. Now they have to descend quickly.
15 minutes to come down.
15 minutes is a long time for a descent. Enough time for the winds to change and blow the balloon in another awkward position.
Wir müssen uns einfach alle ganz arg die Daumen drücken, dass wir nicht zu scheiß Winde haben, die voll hier wieder gegen die Berge drücken. Okay, let's start to come down. Yeah. So you agree? Ja, wir machen jetzt einen, was ich nenne, Cold Descent, einen kalten Abstieg, dass wir so schnell wie möglich runterkommen.
When Ali only burns very little, the air in the balloon cools down and the balloon sinks faster and faster. She catches it shortly before she's about to land.
Was ihr vielleicht spürt, ist, dass der Ballon sich jetzt automatisch rotiert, weil die Geschwindigkeit, die Fallgeschwindigkeit so hoch ist. Oh wow, it feels a bit safer now here, I would say. Wow, oh gosh, it still feels like a big relief to come down here and not over these rocks.
Now they only have to find a landing site.
A bit tricky with the power lines. And I think I go beyond that. There's going down again on the other side.
No, but just be careful.
Ali has to land here, as the terrain ahead is dense forest and rocks. The chase crew wouldn't be able to reach her by car.
Hold it. Be a bump on landing.
I suggest
deflate the bloody thing.
Can you just help now? Yeah. Oh. Mamma mia.
Now just get the hot air out of the envelope, and they've done it.
I got it. All right. Oh. Ah. Wow.
It's the combination of adrenaline-driven drama and bird's-eye panorama that makes these balloon flights so extraordinarily special. At night, the balloons give it all they've got. The traditional night glow signals the end of the festival in Chateau d'Eu. Fire and ice, idyll and adventure. That's what hot air ballooning in the Alps is all about.